Okay, I promise we're done with Mauritania for a while. In fact, let's go about halfway around the world and check in on the dwarves. The last time we were here, we knocked down their giant statue and helped get it rebuilt. The Red Axe, one of the mining companies we didn't support during the project, threw a tantrum over the whole thing and left the city. We should probably check in on them, since I'm sure they're not up to anything good. Hi, I'm Graham. My friends and I set out to complete every quest in Old School Runescape, so come along as we take it one step at a time. Welcome to Cape Quest. Our best lead for information is a drunken dwarf who occasionally babbles something about the Red Axe, though he won't talk to us until we give him a beer. Unfortunately, the beer that we do have is not what he's looking for. He wants a drink of the real stuff, some original Kelda stout. There's no way for us to buy any, so we're going to have to grow it ourselves. We plant the seeds for the Kelda hops that we need to make the stout, and now we have to wait about 20 minutes in real world time. That's always one of the awkward parts with farming and a few other activities, is that they just have actual time requirements that you have to deal with. Now that our crops have finally grown, it's time to get everything fermenting. This process also takes about 20 minutes, because of course it does, but unlike when you're growing the hops, there doesn't seem to be a little side quest to help you pass the time. I'm pretty sure this quest is the only time I've ever done any of the brewing in this game. Just doesn't seem to be worth the time you have to spend. When we give the drunken dwarf the stout, he sobers up just long enough to tell us his story, though we don't get to hear most of it. As it turns out, he was part of a very minor mining company, and through a wild series of events, he found himself exploring a boarded up tunnel, and something there happened to him that made him the way that he is. We decided to ignore the less believable things in his story, though pink dragons would be right at home in RuneScape, and try to see if we can get into the tunnel for ourselves. Inside the tunnel, we find a minecart system that spans a yawning pit. We need to cross, but it seems that the track's controlled by a strange mechanism. Or, more specifically, we have a series of tiles to place on a map that determines which path the cart takes. It's a pretty fun puzzle as you move from platform to platform to find new tiles and open up new paths. Of course, Quest Helper removes all the thinking from it, so if you do this one yourself, I'd recommend trying it without a guide. After the first set of puzzles, we managed to overhear the leaders of the Red Axe talking. Apparently, we put a real wrench in their plans by rebuilding the statue the way we did, though honestly I have no idea what their plans for it could even have been. They still have plans for us, though, and more evil plans besides, so we need to keep going. The second set of puzzles leads us to a small archive where we find confirmation that the Red Axe was behind the statue accident, along with some personnel details and one very incriminating report about what happened to the drunken dwarf. This would certainly be enough for the Blackguard to deal with the Red Axe, so that basically guarantees something bad is going to happen to us before the end of this. Once we've seen enough, we head off to the last set of puzzles. And wouldn't you know that something bad happens right after the third set of puzzles. We see the Red Axe showing off an army of Chaos Dwarves to some gnomes who may or may not be relevant later, which is definitely not a good thing. But before we can leave to tell the Blackguard we're caught by the ogre shaman that we saw earlier, and wake up outside the tunnel with no memory of what we were doing. We return to Commander Veldeban with no information and a mighty desire for kebabs, so we go off to get drunk with some NPCs. The Red Axe Colonel twirls his mustache over how well their spell worked, and we leave off on a cliffhanger for the foreseeable future. Quest complete? And that's all we have time for today. I'm sure at some point in the future we will get the follow-up to this quest, but we don't have it yet as far as I know. So yeah, we're just gonna leave things hanging here until they add it in at some point down the road. The original follow-up to this quest, I believe, came out in 2011, so that's kind of understandable why they haven't added it in yet. We'll see what they do with it when the time comes. Tune in next time while we steal everything that isn't nailed down. And as always, you can catch us on Twitch at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday, where we're going through these quests live and grinding up way too many skills because we're starting to get out of the easy ones and into the much more demanding ones. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you had as much fun as I did making it, and I will catch you in the next one.